I mean, you know, we got the blimp cam, we got the police officer cam, we've got two ATM cameras, but this is the one showing promise. This is the security camera at the underwear store. Freeze there.
I want to know about his wife. I want to know about his parents. I want to know about his gambling problems, his urine samples, his porno rentals. I want to use every means possible to get what we need.
Okay, welcome back. Life imitating art. The clip from what I thought was a pretty crummy movie, Enemy of the State here. It portrayed the NSA and surveillance activities with the younger, but still portly, Jack Black. All right, now the question is, well, we laughed at the movie here and the concept, how really off is it? And how often are we really giving up personal information, and does the public really care at the end of the day? Now, back in December of last year, we conducted a special look into how often your information is being recorded. And our investigative reporter, Kim Lengo, she took stock of our own digital footprints for just one day, morning, noon, and night, tallying up every moment that she could be tracked. Now, keep in mind, this was before we even had the slightest hint about a program called PRISM that dominated the news headlines for the last couple of days. So take a look and try to figure out how many times a day that you are inadvertently, easy for me to say, sharing information about yourself.
From the moment you wake up, you're unwittingly feeding information about yourself to corporate and government databases.
Will it rain today?
When you speak a voice command to an artificial intelligence program like iPhone's Siri, everything you say gets sent to Siri's big data center in Maiden, North Carolina. There, it translates what you said and returns the best results back to the iPhone.
It doesn't look like it's going to rain today.
Siri's forecast may not always be accurate, and if you're worried that Siri might have loose lips, privacy experts say you should be. That's because Apple won't say who can access the data or how long they store the data.
I don't think you'd understand a joke in my language. They're not so funny. Anyway.
Funny and inappropriate jokes included. The company also admits to collecting a bunch of other info from your phone, including the names of people in your address book. That's one for Big Brother. If you get your news online, guess what? Log into Gmail or search on Google. Some internet companies like these keep track of the websites you visit, the content you search, and ads you click on. They rely on your data to put out more ads that are tailored to content you've been searching for. Even here on the road, your image and data are being recorded. Closed-circuit TV cameras send data back to traffic management centers where workers look for disabled cars or drivers that might need help.
Believe it or not, even inside the car, there's 2 devices tracking my every move.
Now turn right.
You'd be right if you guessed my GPS, though it's actually my cell phone running a GPS app. Many people don't realize that cell phones are constantly registering location information with cell phone networks through towers like these.
In response to a congressional inquiry this past summer on the explosion of cell phone surveillance, wireless phone carriers reported that in just the last year alone, they responded to more than 1 million demands from law enforcement to identify the location of a particular cell phone.
Let's not forget the Easy Pass. This is one of those options where you're trading a little bit of privacy for a ton of convenience.
Paying tolls electronically raises a few worries. First, that your personal information could be used illegitimately. The computer system you've surrendered your credit card number also records data about your movements and habits, and no computer system is immune to hackers. If you think you can escape Big Brother by taking public transportation, you're wrong. Even though swipe cards usually aren't tied to a specific account, many stations are equipped with surveillance cameras. Getting to work, you'll likely encounter several devices that employers often use to keep tabs on their workers.
By the time you enter the workplace, you should be ready to smile for all the security cameras that'll catch you during your day.
When you do the math on all your digital footprints and the number of times your private data could become public, my magic number after an entire day, 45.
All right, and that was before we've even learned here the last couple of days that it wasn't just private companies, but everything those private companies get, the agencies in Washington can scoop in. All right, now I want to talk about whether or not the public cares and what they think, but as we talk about this, I want you to take a look at a few poll numbers. And when asked what concerns people more, the government's going to fail to put terror policies in place or that they're going to restrict civil liberties, almost 2 to 1 people are more worried about civil liberties being avoided. The next one, would you be willing to give up those civil liberties if that were necessary to stop terrorism? Well, it's tight here, but about a half the people said not so fast. And finally, when asked if you support or oppose more cameras, they say yes overwhelmingly. They also support the idea of people looking at internet discussions, albeit by a more narrow margin. But take a look at where they draw the line, whether they think their cell phones and email ought to be monitored. People oppose that by a pretty healthy margin. Okay. You don't buy the numbers. You think that's just they're answering the poll question, but in reality they say do whatever you want.
Because I think people think about it as snooping with intent, like somebody watching you, judging you, maybe using something against you that is unfair. That ship has sailed. We monitor everything. And by the way, it's not the government that's monitoring you most of the time. It's the company you're paying $100 a month to for your phone bill or your cable or whatever it is that's monitoring you all the time. And those people weren't elected. So the point being that if we're going to have this conversation,
think those people are monitoring it, we're going to use it, then data mine it and give it to the government to keep and put on record potentially.
No, actually what they're going to do is they're going to use it to make you buy things
That's one thing,
or whatever it is and sell that information to a third party. My point being that it's actually corporations that are violating your privacy, using information, your own information against you more often than the government is. And we need to stop having this conversation about who's collecting data and all that. It's the use of the information. That is the question for the next century that we're going to have to answer. And that is what we need to talk about now that we know that the government is doing this on such a wide scale.
But you do that willingly when you're dealing with a company. When you click the terms and conditions thing on iTunes, you realize you're probably getting the short end of the deal, but nowhere in there do you think that they're giving that information to the government. And let's be careful about this too, because yes, Apple can use that information to sell me products better, but they can't put me in jail. They can't prosecute me and bankrupt me.
Look,
and that's where this problem is. It's the equivalent of having a federal agent standing behind you while you're using the computer. And I think people don't really like that idea, and I think that's why this is resonating a little bit more than issues about easy pass.
That's only a problem if you're doing something illegal.
Otherwise,
it is true.
But look, at the end of the point, let's not get away from it. The government is taking people's information without there being any inkling that they've done something wrong. I think most people will agree, if the government is investigating you, then they should have access to whatever tools they are available to determine whether or not you were involved in the incident. That's not happening in this situation. What's happening is that the Obama administration is violating the spirit of the Patriot Act, which says that you can, as you mentioned earlier, if you have information about an investigation, you can then seek from a judge and get more information about that. That's the way the system was designed to work.
If data collected about you by the federal government is used against you in court, you can avail yourself of your constitutional right to due process, and you can argue that if there was a gap in Fourth Amendment rights at some point and the state overstepped its bounds, then you are innocent. And it doesn't even matter what they gathered. And that happens every day in our court system all over the country. So I am not as concerned about it knowing that we have that right as citizens. And I don't see it happening at the degree that people are saying that it might.
You get wrongly accused of terrorism. You wind up with your day in court because that's the way the justice system works. I can avail myself of the justice system.
In Boston, by the way, people being wrongly accused.
Right. It doesn't matter if you, it matters that you're not going to go to prison for the rest of your life if you're acquitted, but how do you go back to your neighborhood and have everybody in your neighborhood look at you like you did before? The damage is done.
Absolutely.
And there's too much power here. There's too much power that can harm people permanently.
Abuse of power here.
So what's the alternative? So what's the alternative?
The alternative is to get targeted information. When we're looking at tens of millions of data that we have no idea what it means, we have to have analysts look at it. We're wasting time and taking away time from finding terrorists. Hence, Boston again. Look, we haven't had a major attack. Say what you want. After 9/11, under the Bush administration, we didn't have any terrorist attacks. Why? And it was without expanding this program. Why? Because we were looking at more targeted data. Now we got the Obama administration who's lost credibility in this intelligence whole game here. He's got the AP investigations, he's got the IRS. I mean, all of this stuff is abuse of power. And it does not help protect us any better looking at data that's untargeted.
Listen, my only thing is, and I'm surprised some Republicans are lining up behind the president saying you got to do what you got to do. What did I hear after the IRS thing? I think they conflated things that weren't there, that, oh, this was just a giant cabal by the administration, even though there's no evidence of it, that they're out to get certain groups here who disagree with the administration. Then think about what we heard, about the idea of the gun control debate here. Oh, they're going to be targeting gun owners and do whatever else. Well, if people are worried about that, how could they not be worried that they're going to be checking that they're going to be NRA members, or that they're going to be, they're having comments about their tax forms? The conservatives should be the ones most livid about this. But not all of them are. In fact, most of them aren't.
That's what that poll said. When it came to civil liberties, people were like, wait, hold on. And that includes that. Wait, I will support civil liberties up to the point where you want to take my guns away. I don't support that one.
Yeah.
So there's so people get a little antsy. Well,
it's because you put terrorism into the mix, and people will say whatever it takes. We are terrified by terrorism, and we will sacrifice a lot.
Say this much. This part isn't for debate. I can point out so many times in American history that the argument of, hey, it hasn't happened, I'm not worried until it happens, or whatever else. We saw it in the Church Commission, if you remember that here, where people who decided, black activists, that they had a problem with the government, they were targeted. Right? We can go through chapter and verse. If you say something the government doesn't like, and now they can get whatever you say online or on the phone lines, this inevitably will lead to abuse of power. I'm not as comfortable. I do agree, though. I'm probably debating something that's moot at this point because it's already happened, But
there's a conservative House of Congress that can oversee this program. They can also put forward legislation, by the way, stopping it if they want to. There's federal judges overseeing it. It's not just one person.
Because politically, it's not popular to say, hold on here, slow down in the war on terror for any kind of safeguards. All right. When we come back, we'll see. And by the way, Evan's going to be cuffed and stuffed after this. He'll say something wrong. All right. When we come back here, we're going to talk politics a little bit more local, a little bit more targeted. We're going to go to New Jersey, where we're going to try and figure out what's going on in this upcoming Senate race. A lot of people I thought were in, they're not getting in, and some people that are might have some more company than originally thought. Word is, we're going to have a real big announcement tomorrow from Cory Booker. Surprise, surprise, I'll blow it. He's running. We'll talk about that and more after this.